Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to briefly touch on the Streetwise situation because this video has taken a turn and will now not be made in the more extreme way I was going to make it. Because BHVR have actually responded correctly to the Streetwise situation. I will just show you right now. They have kill switched Streetwise, so... No, they haven't. Okay, right. Things take a bit of a turn here then. Is it re-enabled? Yes, it is. Right, okay. That was a very fast kill switch. So, this leans us back towards the video we was going to do. They've apparently fixed this. Let me actually bring up the news, if I can, without getting DMCA'd, because the fucking licensed music is still a thing. Right, here's the bug fix one. We'll go through the top of this and all that kind of stuff, and then I'm not going to go through all of this. As I say, it's all minor stuff. We'll have a quick skim if anything pops up. I'll comment on it for you. But they fixed the Streetwise situation very quickly, apparently, which is going to lead into the side of why can't they do this when it's a killer issue, you know, because we are one of those types that do like to actually consider both sides of this game rather than just being a case of survivor only all the time. But, as I say, it is what it is. So they fixed Streetwise, and I believe that's going to be mentioned in this, so we'll just start with this. So, content survivor item fog vial. So they decreased the base opacity of the fog cloud to 33%, was 40%. I'm going to say something wild here, based on what you might know of me so far, as the quote-unquote killer main of this game's community, when all I want is just a decent fucking ASIM that isn't marred with second chance mechanics all the way through it and designed to rob me out of my wins because I'm hurting Twitter's feelings. I didn't have an issue with these. I actually didn't. I've played a fair few games against the fog vials now. There was a lot of other killer players that were doomsaying about this. They were saying they were really bad. I didn't have an issue with them, to be honest. I genuinely didn't. Probably because they weren't really used properly. The idea with the fog vial, from what I can see from me playing as a killer, the best time to use these would be when you're actually a little bit of a distance ahead and not in a chase. If you believe you're about to go into a chase, that's when you pop it. Because then you will actually be able to escape the killer's eyes and they'll have to go looking elsewhere due to how fast gen speeds are, outside of Lomamar anyway. So it was basically a disengage tool, from what I could see of it anyway, from playing against, because people were using this in chase against me and it just didn't work. I could still see where they were, and scratch marks were visible inside them as well, apparently, when they weren't supposed to be. But it is what it is. Decrease the fog cloud volume.
I know a great station for scary stories.
Thank you, Sable. Decrease the fog cloud volume by 3 dB. I don't know what that is. NB, this does not refer to audio. Decibels, okay. NB, this does not refer to audio within the fog area, only the ambient fog audio, so when you're outside of it, decrease the that sort of whooshy, gongy kind of noise it makes, basically. Okay, I don't know why, but sure. Fog vial add-ons potent extract to visceral, this is the Eerie, decreases visibility by 5%, was 10. Decreases the fog cloud's maximum size by 25%, no change, and no change on the other one. So they've nerfed the potent extract as well, because it only does 5% now instead of 10%, so they've nerfed the fog vials immediately. So they lasted a long time, didn't they? It was almost like it didn't need to be added to the game, and it was just a case of, oh, we need to make something new for something, you know, and oh, here's something. What did we have in the Halloween event? Because we can't come up with creative new ideas, we just have to fucking pull things and recycle it. Ah, let's add the shards from the Halloween event and just rebrand them as fog vials and say it's new content. You know, like when they went on the big fucking anniversary stream and said, oh, it's new content, this, guys. It's new content coming. You know, we're going to be looking at some new items for survivors. And it's literally just the fucking Halloween shroud fog things. Fucking hell. It is what it is anyway. But so fog vials are, I don't know if they're dead, but there you go. We had a new item for 10 minutes that was also just recycled content and wasn't new. But, you know, don't say that because it's mean and, you know, it's evil towards behaviour at the top of this genre. Bug fixes, audio. Yeah, sure, there's all audio changes. Fixed an issue where Rick and Michonne were missing certain voice lines. They don't appear to have fixed the developer speaking in the background of one of Michonne's voice lines, unless that just comes under this. It's fucking ridiculous. Right, here we go. Perks. It's fixed an issue that caused chest items to have unlimited charges when swapping items while using Streetwise. We fixed that very quickly, didn't we? Which is good. I'm actually going to say this right now, actually, because this was something I did want to touch on in this video. This is good, and I actually respect behaviour for this. I'm going to U-turn a bit towards my, what my usual content is, where I just slate behaviour all the time. This is good. This is how you respond to a game-breaking issue. Don't listen to whatever the fuck that community manager was saying. I think she was a community manager, the fucking Survivor main that got into the ranks, where she said apparently this wasn't exploitable enough to warrant actually kill switching it when people were just doing gens in 30 seconds, because apparently that's not game-breaking. We can tell what side of the player base she plays on. But yeah, that was just fucking idiotic. And generally, the broader community did actually agree with that sentiment as well, because she was fucking downvoted in everything she was saying. But it was genuinely, you need to, like, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for, oh, this person should be sacked, but you need to question yourself with that one. I mean, it also I'm speaking from a consumer perspective here, because from my perspective, my viewpoint of this, she seems very detached, mate. Like this, and it's not her as a person. I'm saying this as if anybody who did this, any fucking dev, any community manager that'd say something like this that's so different from what actually happens. It's like, what the fuck's going on? What is going on in the walls of your community, your company? If you've got somebody saying one thing very adamantly, and then the next day, the thing that they were saying wasn't going to happen very adamantly happens. Because they did kill switch it. This Streetwise was kill switched last night when I logged on. I was going to do the video there, but it was quite late because I was in work, so I didn't get around to actually doing a proper video on this. I mean, we're getting it now because I'm obviously ranting here, but like, it's just it doesn't look professional, mate. It really does not look professional to have somebody like speaking on behalf of your company when it's clearly incorrect, because then you turn it literally the very next day. And there it is, it's kill switched. After this person saying it's not kill switched, it's like, what the fuck? It's just a general disorganisation, fellas. It's fucking stupid. Fixed an issue where combining the Thrilling Tremors and Grim Embrace perks will cause the 4th token on Grim Embrace to not trigger. Didn't know about that. Fixed an issue where Overwhelming Presence would not affect key map and fog or isle items, so it was literally useless. Probably still is. Fixed an issue where Hex 2 can play was unaffected by stun caused by Last Stand. Okay. Fixed an issue where the Wraith remained invisible when stunned by Last Stand, so that's actually quite a nerf, actually. It's a fix, but it's a nerf. So you can basically stun him, but he'd stay cloaked. I don't know why he has to uncloak whenever he's fucking stunned, but, it is what it is. He still has to take the stun, but Wraith's just pretty shit anyway. Fixed an issue where cleansing a totem while broken would activate inner strength once the broken effect ended. Fixed an issue where survivors were unable to build a fragile pallet on pallet locations previously destroyed by vault actions affected by certain add-on and perk effects, so dissolution. I'm assuming dissolution. That's the only one that can destroyed by vault actions. Dissolution, iridescent button on Legion. And I think Wesker's lab photo, maybe, where he can destroy pallets with his bound. This is an issue where dying survivors will make grunts of pain while affected by Come and Get Me. Yep, that's just the perk, just straight up not working. Fixed an issue where Last Stand's vault speed was faster than normal fast vault. Okay. Fixed an issue where a survivor using Conviction could remain in the trapped animation while if they were in a bear trap. Fixed an issue where a survivor using Conviction could become stuck in a locker. Fixed an issue where Blast Mind's blind. The effects were missing if damaging the generator while the killer was already blinded. Okay, so you just take double the blind now anyway, despite already being blinded. Because, and then it's just UI misc. We don't really need to touch on all this, fellas. So at the end of the day, I'll go on, what was going on with what the game state was last night. Obviously, it's not really relevant now, but Streetwise was kill switched. We had Last Stand was also kill switched on Michonne. So I'm assuming there's not actually been any changes to it, because it won't be, but it's now not kill switched, and it was also Blood Rush on Renato. I don't know why I keep doing that. Oh. Right, okay, so prioritise the licenses first, that's basically what this is. I don't know why this is a kill switch, to be honest, personally. I actually don't. I've not heard anything about this. I've not heard anybody speaking about it either. I don't know why this is kill switched. But it still is. It was this, Streetwise, and Last Stand last night, though. 3 of them. I don't know what they're doing with this. I don't know why this is broke. It's like a perk that's only ever been used by like literally 1 person since it was released, as well. I've never seen this in my games, ever. After you've been unhooked, you basically get a free pass out of exhausted within a 40-second window. You just give yourself sprint burst back, basically. So you can, yeah, so you can get unhooked, use your sprint burst, and then within that 40-second window you get a second sprint burst, basically, or whatever you want to use. Yeah. Don't know what the issue with that is, but what I will say though, obviously, is, you know, it's good that they've actually responded that quickly to Streetwise. They've actually patched the bug, they've actually fixed the bug, you know, and now it's not kill switched anymore, fellas. So obviously, you know, the original video that I was going to do was, I'll briefly touch on it just to give you a bit of a spice, a taste, you know, of what it was going to be. Up until the point of when they did this as well, as I say, because I can have my mind changed. This is one of the things that I always say. I can have my mind changed about these things, but I have my own views of the game. I have my own views of behaviour. I don't listen to anybody else. I don't follow the hive mind. I don't follow the cattle. I push for better content. I want everybody in both sides of this game to actually have a better video game. And the reason we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is we address the fucking power roll issues that this game has. And it's not a killer-sided argument, despite me always playing killer. I voice these opinions as I do because playing killer is fucking stressful. If you actually play killer as a survivor main, you get out of low MMR, you will see what you're talking about, because it's not as fucking easy as it is in solo queue games, from what you're seeing from your perspective. Yeah, it fucking isn't, mate. You've got teammates that are running around like headless chickens, so the killer is going to win. But if you get survivors that are actually doing the objective, they're actually using all these fucking second chance mechanics at the times they need to be used, you will fucking struggle, unless you're playing Blight, Nurse or Ghoul. Which is why in a lot of your games now, you're now facing Blight, Nurse or Ghoul, because that's all anybody will ever play. Because they don't want to go into games where they just get fucking destroyed by second chances and all this kind of shit. It's a step towards having a better ASIM again, fellas, where you need to be... You basically, as a survivor in this game now, you need to accept your mistakes. That's basically what it is. You take responsibility for your own actions. As much as it sounds like a fucking parent conversation, but that's literally what it is. There's so many fucking survivors crying about every little thing that happens in this game, dude. Whether it's a killer moving too fastly, whether it's a killer being too oppressive to play against, despite, you know, it being genuinely... In a lot of situations, it's not... In most situations, it can be a skill issue, because it's just like, you can rotate pallets, you can rotate tiles. I see this shit every game when I'm playing killer. I see survivors who do put the effort in, they learn how to play the game, and it's, in a lot of situations, it's free-falling out, because you can't do anything as killer against survivors that rotate properly at tiles. They know when to drop pallets optimally, they know when to use all the second chance mechanics, they know when to dip in front of each other, they're all on comms and all that kind of shit, and the fucking game's broken. You know, escaping should be a reward, not an entitlement, and that's the narrative that needs to be pushed if we're going to push any narratives for this game. Because I'm sick of the fucking overglazing shit that goes on in this game as well, where it's like, oh, it's the top of the genre, so, oh, you know, it's very good, you know. Well, all the killers' animations are fucking shit, and you know, we had Evolve prior to this, 1 year before this game came out, that still looks better than this game now, 10 years later. You know, it is what it is anyway. As I say, that's going to be the short of video of the Streetwise situation, because I was going to say that this current era of Behaviour's development team, based on what's happened with how just fucking rocky the release of this chapter's been, that the development team now has shifted towards a survivor main mentality. Because there's a lot of shit that's getting added, be it second chances, be it patching out killer playstyles, all this kind of shit, because the more you patch them out, the more you give just second chances for every situation, the more you will face Blight, Nurse and Ghoul in your games. It's not a fucking... bargain or a threat or any kind of like, you know, stuff like that. It's literally a fucking fact. Yeah, people are not going to play killers that can just be made a laughingstock of. You're not going to get that, which is the content that a lot of the top people who play this game push for, because they like to take the piss online because it gets some subscribers and all this kind of shit. But you're destroying the game. Those people are destroying the game. They'll say they're awesome, they'll say they're not doing and all that kind of shit, but they don't give a fuck about the game. They don't give a fuck about the genre. They don't give a shit. Yeah. They're there to make subscribers. They're there to take the piss out of somebody online. A fresh install as well, because a lot of them just put themselves down at lower their MMR off stream between streams. So they're back at like day one, right at the opening gates. So new players that come along basically have to face some entitled fucking prick on a Twitch stream who's going to basically taint the experience for this person, and this person's probably just going to uninstall the game. You know, it damages the game itself as well. But in the same breath, like BHVR caters to this shit by giving them all stuff like conviction, second chances, all these head-on stun perks, flashbangs, C4s on gens, you know, all that kind of shit. If the game moved away from that, and it was about doing generators, it was about playing stealthy, playing wisely as the survivors, going for rescues at the most optimal times, you know, not being showered in second chances for negative situations, and actually using your IQ to play the game from survivor, you would actually have a better video game for you as well as the survivor, because it would be more engaging, you know. You wouldn't be pressured into this mindset of, right, I have to use these second chances in this particular instance. You'd be sat on gens, you'd be in the atmosphere, because it'd be a scary game again, and you would actually, it would be a horror racing, you know. And killers across the board, you would have more variance of, because you would see killers that wouldn't normally see play outside of low MMR now being played again, because they would be viable. You would get a refreshing experience, and that would lay into why you are so tired while playing this game, and it leads into a lot of toxicity from survivors, because they are constantly playing against nurse, blight, ghoul. People are getting fed up with doing this, but as we keep doing that, and we keep demanding nerfs, we keep demanding nerfs to killers, we keep adding all these second chance mechanics into the game, you will only face blights, nurses, and ghouls. Break free from the narrative, fellas, yeah? Because it's destroying this game, right? I'm not pointing the finger at streamers specifically, or a specific streamer, I should say, in any stretch of the imagination here when I say this, but there's a lot of them at the top, fellas, that are fucking clueless. They don't know what they're talking about. A lot of them don't. Yeah? And I'm not saying I should be the apostle here and you should listen to me and all this kind of stuff. It's about making up your own mind. But I'm telling you, fellas, based on a common sense perspective, yeah, there's a lot of fucking streamers at the top of this genre at the moment that make the big content for this game that they've not got a fucking clue what they're talking about, but everybody takes it as gospel because they've got a following behind them. You know, it's cattle. That's literally what I talk about. It's like a cattle of sheep, or an herd of cattle, I should say, of cows sat in a fucking field. You know, farmer comes in, puts the food in the trough, they eat it up. You know, that's what it is. And it's the reason now in your killer games, if you are also a killer player, you're facing endless second chance mechanics with iframes slapped on it, and it feels cheap as fuck to play, because you're just having your experience robbed for the sake of these streamers that pioneer for this shit, you know, because it exists for them. And it's also now bred a deep-seated entitlement into the game now, where every survivor goes into the game expecting to escape. It is what it is, and by the very nature of an ASIM as well, and this is obviously this is the uphill battle here as well. I've had a couple of people say this as well. This is always a sentiment I've had, and I do agree with the people that have said this in the comment section when I did a recent video about this. In an ASIM, the killer should be the easier role to play, because it's an ASIM. It's about a power role. It's about one person being given a massive amount of power, and the four others, or whatever number of players it is on the other side, having to work around it and, you know, work together to beat it. But in the current state of the game now, one survivor can lose you the game as the killer by just literally playing the game or having a second chance in the loadout. Take this, right? I run this because I like to catch it on camera when it happens. I like to try and drain this as much as I can. This 80 seconds. This is what all the survivors are doing, and then take the hit. Make them hit me, so that I get an iframe mechanic. You know, I get the iframes off basically, as close to the end of that 80-second window as I can, to show you how fucking stupid this shit is. This is 80 seconds of no counterplay invincibility off the hook. because as soon as they get off the hook, if you go over to them, they won't touch generators, so they'll always have this for that 80 seconds. But in certain instances, you need to get survivors out, which is what tunneling is a viable strategy in this game for killers. But we're apparently looking for ways to patch that playstyle out as well in phase 2, as they're calling it. You know, like we've just kind of patched out, or had an attempt at patching out slugging with conviction. You know, and I'm still convinced that conviction is a direct response to twins. To be honest, I genuinely think it's a direct response to twins. Because everybody whines about how they have to play against twins, which, if you're actually awake and you basically run We're Gonna Live Forever, which is a viable perk in any game, whether it's twins or not, you can just res people off the ground because Charlotte still has to walk across the map to pick up slugs. So, as long as you stay hidden, out of sight, you know, it is what it is, isn't it? You can just run in, tap them off the ground. You can probably run in as well and tap them off the ground, even if you go within the detection range of Victor, by the time she actually goes back into her power again and reactivates Victor, reanimates him, whatever it's called. And then you'll both be off the ground again, and you'll also have conviction as well, again, where you can move yourself away from Victor's detection range. Like, it's just, there's so much shit in the game now that just inhibits the killer's side of the experience, and it's the reason why it's the knock-on effect, I should say, that why both sides of this player base is so toxic now, because it is an us versus them thing. This is what they're pushing with all this kind of shit. Right? It's like flashbangs as well, stuff like flashbangs. I've said this before, you know, we might as well make a video out of this, haven't we? Hang on. This right here is one of the most badly designed perks you could ever have in the game, right? Because, and the reason it's badly designed is not because of the blind, but the reason it's badly designed is because you get this by doing your objective as the killer, as the survivor. So it's after completing 40% of a progress on an generator, you get a flashbang. You can keep doing this as well, once you actually get the flashbang. And it also, sidewaysly, in a way, punishes gem regression as well, because you can basically farm generators and get this endlessly. In stuff like Swift and things like that, but it's still badly designed. I said a while back about this perk that it should be a thing you can get from chests, rather than it being a case of doing your objective and then getting it, because you're basically nailing two birds with one stone for this, for a very strong effect, and it is toxic as well. It is used toxically. It's a fight back mechanic. I don't know why, in a horror race sim, why 4 people that are allegedly supposed to be running for their lives can find military-grade flashbang grenades equipment in a locker, to be honest. I really don't understand that. As much as I've said in the past, I do like Resident Evil. I do think the Wesker killer was good, and I do think the Nemesis killer was good, but I do genuinely believe the 2 of those chapters were the worst thing that happened to this game, in general. Because they did introduce a lot of stupid shit into the game, like flashbangs, C4s on gens, all that kind of stuff, and it was just, it's ridiculous, to be honest. But as I say, it is what it is. I think the Wesker chapter with Rebecca Chambers and Ada didn't add anything too problematic. They did add reassurance into the game, which is also something that's a bit oppressive when it is used correctly. Because you can basically just, if it's a Swift, you can basically just activate reassurance and then just fuck off and do a gem, if they are proxy camping. But that's another issue, as I say, because everybody has a go at camping killers when 90% of the time it's the survivors that fuck up the camping situation, but apparently it's a killer issue. If a killer's like proxy camping or face camping, just go and do a fucking generator. Like, there's no actual negative for you as a survivor. At the very least, it turns into a 3-man out instead of a 4-man. You know, you just do your objective. The amount of times I have played solo queue games and I've been on the hook and I've been in struggle phase and the killer is just sort of like lingering at the edge of the anti-camp thing, and he's there, he's very obviously proxy camping, and I've got 3 of my fucking teammates crouching behind trees just expecting the killer to leave and not actually doing anything. It's actually insane the amount of time that's happened, dude. Just go and do generators, just do your fucking objective, you know. Like, that's the counterplay to camping, but they're adding anti-camp meters into the game. They're adding all these second chance stuff. It exists if you have a brain, ladies and gentlemen, the counterplay to a lot of things in this game for Survivor. It is what it is, especially with how gen speeds are these days and all that. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, there it is. Like, we're going off on one completely here, but it is what it is. That's the manifesto, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Strive for better, ladies and gentlemen. Express your displeasure of things that are being implemented into this game. There's nothing fucking wrong with it, you know? Especially if you are on the killer side of this game, because fucking hell, mate, the opposite side, well, they've done nothing but complain throughout this game's lifespan, so sitting back as a killer these days and just accepting all this second chance bullshit that's being added into the game that's actually been pushing the game into a bad state for both killers and survivors, because obviously for the survivors, as a killer, you're only going to be able to play Blight Nurse Ghoul reliably. So they're only going to face the same three killers. They're going to get fed up with the game. They're going to get more toxic with the game because they're going to get pissed off facing the same three killers over and over again, as I said just earlier on in the video. It is what it is. Like, it's a game that is getting way too like hand-holdy for the side that is supposed to be the side that's just on the back foot anyway, by very nature of ASIMs. Now, this is what Evolve did back in the day. The power roll in Evolve was the power roll because you couldn't fuck around with it. You had to play skillfully as the hunters in that game. You had to do your roll well. You had to understand when to use your abilities. You had to understand your positioning. You had to understand how to actually fight each monster. You know, all that kind of stuff. And if you did, you would win in that game because you actually had intelligence. You know? Here, it's about robbing the killer, basically, with second chance mechanics all the time. But anyway, it is what it is. So we're snaking back and forth again. We've said the points, they're there. We don't have a script. Somebody said to me, you know, on the main video, you should write a script, but I'm not going to write scripts because then it just comes out as, like, kind of plastic and fake. Because I'm literally just sat here reading off a sheet of paper. I'd rather do it based on what comes to my mind, and obviously from just the passion of the genre perspective. But, you know, it is what it is. As I say, I get misconstrued quite a lot as, like, the villain and all this kind of shit, and, like, only being a killer main and all that kind of stuff when I'm actually looking out for both sides of this game. It's just that a lot of my arguments weigh into the killer side of things because killer is in a very shit state now. Where it's, you know, a lot of killers aren't actually viable, but a lot of them that come to the comments don't see this because there's a lot of them that do come directly from Twitter based on the way they behave, where they're going on about how it's a skill issue, you know, all this kind of shit, and it's like, well, no, it isn't, because I'm playing my games most of the time quite perfectly, but I'm facing numerous second chance mechanics. So apparently 80 seconds of invincibility off a hook with no counterplay when the gens are flying and I need to get somebody out, me having to tank this and having no other option, that's a skill issue. The same way that DS is off the ground, and the fact that there is allegedly counterplay to DS, and that's leaving them on the ground. But with the advent of now Conviction, and now We're Gonna Live Forever, the way it exists now, where it's 100% heal speeds off the ground, allowing, basically slugging somebody only to allow them to just be picked up about 2 seconds later isn't counterplay. Which is why I say that DS doesn't have counterplay as well, and it's better to just face tank it, because it is. You get the 5-second stun and then you get back into chase and try and down them again, rather than just leaving them on the ground and then they get revived within that 60-second window. So, no, it doesn't have counterplay at the end of the day. But yeah, it is what it is. We're just off railing now anyway. But yeah, Streetwise situation, fellas, good. They've actually fixed it lightningly quick. I was going to go into the whole situation of, you know, when they kill switch Nemesis, because he had 15% move speed, and then way back before that, they actually kill switch Clown as well, because he was moving a bit too fast. But because they've actually addressed the whole, you know, Streetwise situation and all that kind of stuff, even better, you know. So we don't have to go on the whole big rant video now, but it is what it is. So there you go, there's a Streetwise situation. I did promise you I was going to make it, so there it is. It kind of got skewed a bit, because obviously I was in work, and the drama was unfolding while I was in work. So, you know, I didn't get time to make an actual video with it, but they've responded quick enough that I didn't actually need to make a video on it, which is good. It's a slight resemblance of a competent developer, which is bizarre when behaviour's in the same sentence these days, but, you know, there it is. I'll see you on the next one, fellas.